that we made, how great it was, and how right it was for us. And I love coming out here. I love speaking about this. I love spreading the word about adoption. I love doing this. It's one of my passions, and I'm just really glad that you guys are having us. So sweet, thanks.
All right. Well, let's start out with our story first.
Oh yeah. Okay, so me and Catelynn were 16. We found out that she was pregnant, and at first we didn't really know what we were going to do. We were pretty confused and distraught about the whole thing. Being so young, we didn't know what avenue we wanted to take. But my sister almost went through an adoption. About two years prior to that, it fell through. She just decided that she wanted to parent, and she was going through Bethany Christian Services, and so that's kind of where adoption, came into my life. I was like, oh, this is an option. And so when I found out that Catelynn was pregnant, we talked about it, and my mom talked to us about it. We just really thought that it was the best decision for us at the time. And I remember when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, we were in her mom's car, and I get in there, and her mom handed me these papers from the doctors saying that she was pregnant because Catelynn went to the emergency room thinking she had the flu. It wasn't the flu. I turned white as a ghost, so I almost threw up. I was so scared. But, I think that finding out Catelynn was pregnant so young really just kind of was like a shocker. I was kind of in denial. I guess we were both kind of in denial. We didn't really know. We're like, oh yeah, right, we're not having a baby. This is crazy. We eventually made an appointment with Dawn to talk about adoption. And she was explaining to us about, this is going to be the hardest decision you've ever made. And, she asked us to do a pros and cons list of, parenting and adoption, as far as, the pros and cons of each. And the funny thing is that before I even had an appointment with Dawn, I wrote on a piece of paper the pros and cons, because I was starting to try to think logically, because this is my child, and this is what we need to do. And so I actually made a pros and cons list, and I gave it to Catelynn, and it happened to prove that adoption really was logically the right decision for us. And she read it, and then she called me.
And then, when Tyler really wrote that pros and cons, I really knew, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't really that educated about adoption, and I really wasn't educated about parenting. But when Tyler gave me the pros and cons list, and there was more cons with parenting than there was with the adoption, I just knew that it was right for some reason. But I also think that another factor of our decision is growing up in a chaotic household. One point that I always like to make, which is statistically proven, is my grandma had my dad at 16. My dad had his son at 16, my mom had me at 19, and then I had my daughter at 16. So it's a huge cycle, and you're all teen moms. And statistically it says if you are a child of a teen mom, you will most likely be a teen mom, which most likely means Carly would be a teen mom. That was one of the big factors in my decision, is I wanted to break the cycle. I didn't want Carly to be around my alcoholic mom, around Tyler's drug addict dad, around the chaoticness just in my family, partying all the time, So I wanted to break the cycle, and I wanted Carly to have better. And I did that. I gave her a 2-parent home. I gave her somebody with an education that had been married for years who have been trying to have children. We gave Brayden and Teresa not only our child, but also this awesome gift as well of life that they could not have. Now that we are almost 3 years into this adoption journey, Carly's going to be 3 years old this May 18th, which is crazy to me. And, she is doing wonderful. They are teaching her things that I probably wouldn't have being a teen mom. This girl knows all of her numbers, every single color. She knows how to say all of her ABCs. She loves reading books. She's talking so much and so hard-headed like Tyler is.
it's totally like, it's so reassuring to watch her and them and the way that they discipline her and how they get down to her level, and they're so patient with her, and they're so ready when we were just so not ready. And I honestly, if it wasn't for Bethany Christian Services and Dawn's counseling, I mean, I can't tell you how crucial it is in that critical of a situation to have professional help as far as counseling to guide you through the process. I mean, it is
and
really,
to process
really
your thoughts. I feel like we need an agency definitely there to help you think things, because when I was pregnant, hearing Carly and knowing what the decision that I was going to make, I was afraid. And I didn't have anybody else to talk to besides Tyler, his mom, who didn't know anything about adoption. So I had Dawn and Bethany Christian Services to help me process my thoughts. And that was something that really helped. Like you can read my mind, But no, I wanted to say that, but I don't want people to think that adoption is just easy and that we're always just happy, because I know that may seem like that. But we have our hard times just like anybody who parents children would have hard times. Like parents, they sacrifice time and their sleep and stuff like that. Like us, we sacrifice our emotions and not being able to be around our child. And it's hard at times. I mean, Brandon and Teresa, this is their first adoption, our first adoption, and it's a working process. There's things that we come into that we struggle with, and that we're always going to struggle with, just as they do as adopted parents. So, I don't want anybody to think that it's an easy decision, because no decision that you make is going to make an easy decision, but this is ours.
We do not regret it. We definitely know that it was the right decision for us and for Carly at that time. So.
Yes, 100%.
I think sometimes when you're out in public, especially like these last few times when Carly was with you in public, and people would see you and they'd say, well, don't you regret that? Aren't you sad? And it's really reassuring to hear you guys say over and over again, when they're with her, it almost it affirms your decision even more, because you see that maybe you're still not ready to do the kinds of things that Brandon and Teresa are doing with her.
Well, and it's true, because I talked to Teresa the other day, and I'm like, wow, I said, watch how hard-headed she is. I know that even though I'm 20 years old now, I still want to be able to do it. And I'm happy where she's at, because she's getting taught right and disciplined right, so that she's listening and not acting out all the time. So I totally agree with that. Still too young.
Well, one of the first questions that you all asked was, how did you have the courage to make such a brave decision, especially in light of the fact that your families were not supportive?
I guess I'll go. I think the courage came from really coming up with the ideal of what I think Carly deserved, what we think, what kind of parent she deserved. And the courage really came from, just making sure that our innocent child gets the best, period. It doesn't matter, she has to be brought into this world. It's a irresponsible decision that we made. She was here. And, I just knew that, it was the best thing for her. I think the courage just came from, sacrificing for her and making sure that she has what she deserves.
But also, I want to put in that just like a little bit of my courage also was my mom always putting me down and telling me I wasn't going to be able to do it. So a lot of my courage came from was, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it. Nobody's going to stop me. And so that was a big push for me, was to prove my mom wrong that I could do it, and nobody was going to change my mind about it.
Right, because her mom's an addict, my dad's an addict, so I knew growing up that everything that my dad told me was always wrong. If he thought it was right, I knew for a fact it was wrong. So when he told me, hey, you know what, son, adoption is like totally wrong, I'm like, no, Dad, I think it's right, because that's the way you've been proven to me my whole life. So that was definitely a big part of it.
And I know you guys on your pros and cons list, you listed some things that you wouldn't be able to do if you were parenting. And so I would like you guys to talk a little bit about some of the things that you have done because you're not parenting and because you did place her for adoption.
One thing would be I got to go to prom, which I know that if I was a female I wouldn't have. And a big thing for me was I want to be able to tell my children one day I went to prom. And I
Give me one prom king queen, by the way.
Yeah. They were so cute.
Another thing that we had on that list was graduating high school, and me and Tyler both graduated from high school.
tell about the women in your family in high school.
Yeah, good point. I never even really thought about that. Yeah, that was another cycle that I wanted to break. I wanted to graduate high school because I am the only female in my whole family, on my side of the family, to ever graduate high school. Nobody has done it in my family, and I'm very grateful. So that's something that I needed to get done, and I did it. And now we're both in college. I'm going for social working and human services to be an adoption counselor and work with birth parents and teenagers and any types of women that are pregnant and come up with an unexpected pregnancy. And you go and tell me.
And I think from being a result of a chaotic household and an unstable situation, I'm also going to school for social working, but I'm going to be focusing more on at-risk youth, kids in juvenile detention centers, kids who come from fatherless homes, kids who are just in chaotic situations. So we're both going in the health profession, and we're pretty excited about it. So
one of the interesting things that they both have been able to do is very often birth parents will contact Bethany Christian Services and say, we saw Catelyn's story. Is there any way I can talk to Catelynn? And Catelynn has been in a mentoring role, been able to tell her story, and she's really good at saying what was right for me may not be right for you, but I want to share with you, how I coped, how I got through this, what I did. And one of the things I love about Catelynn is she is awesome at just building up birth moms that feel really deflated and feel really low and feel terrible about themselves and are really in an uncertain time in their life. And she has been really great at that. And just recently, back in February.
February 20th.
Yes, February 20th. She was a labor coach with me, with a birth mom, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that.
Am I allowed to say her name? Just the first name. Okay. Well, her name is Beth, and she's a little bit older than me, and she was carrying a son, and the dad was not involved, and she was all by herself. Mom, kind of like my mom, but not so bad, but would kick her out and not let her, she was pretty much living in her car, and I felt bad for her. And she was making this courageous decision and nobody's seen it. But what made me even closer to her is because she was carrying Carly's little brother. And so that was very special to me. Not only because of that, but because she's a birth mom and I've helped other birth moms. But me and Dawn were there in the labor. I was holding her leg. I watched that little one take the very first breath. And, I was just there to support her and tell her how I felt and express my feelings. And she really connected with me because it's the same family. She met them, and I was hanging out with them all together with Carly and her. And it was the most amazing thing to watch. I watched my daughter be born and her being placed with Brandon and Teresa. But then again, I got to sit back and watch Carly's little brother be born and placed with them. And it was the most amazing experience I've ever had happen to me in my life. Even though after she gave birth, she was like, you guys need to get out of here. And I was like, okay, bye, but call me. And I was calling her all the time, making sure she was okay, just talking to her. And, right now she's doing wonderful. She's doing great. She accepts her decision. She's feeling better about it every day. And I'm still here to support her. I still talk to her on the regular. And it's just really awesome, And especially now that Saturday is Birth Mother's Day, which is awesome because I have my own Mother's Day. And so that's one of the birth moms I'm going to be buying a gift for is her because I'm definitely really close to her. And she's like my sister because I feel like her child's mine and she feels like her child's her. My child's hers, it just works out that way. But I love her.
So that's one of the beautiful things about open adoption, where if it was a closed adoption, they may never know if Brandon and Teresa adopted a second time. And here they were able to be a part of that experience. And they truly are all like an extended family to one another. And that's just it's a beautiful picture. And I do really appreciate Catelynn. And Tyler as well, because Tyler has talked to lots of birth dads that have either tweeted with him, Facebook with him, emailed him. And he's been very great to, I know it's hard for you to believe, but teen girls very often will talk to Tyler as well. And he's
got some good advice.
Yeah, he's really able to kind of point them in the right direction and help them to get some clarity on their own situation. And just because we didn't say it earlier, I want to say it right now that I know tonight we're talking about teen pregnancy because they were young teens and now they're in their early 20s. But so you all know, unplanned pregnancy happens to people of all ages. If you talk to any pregnancy counselor, they'll tell you that they work with young teens, middle teens, older teens, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings. My youngest birth mom was 11, and my oldest was 49 so far. And we are seeing many, many more families, married couples that come, and maybe their third or fourth child, they don't feel that they're able to parent or effectively provide for. And so adoption touches people of all ages, and we want to make that clear. Okay, back to the questions. What are your plans for the future, and specifically about another baby?
Future, graduate college, get a job.
Get married.
Kids.
When is the wedding? When is the wedding planned for?
We have a date. It's July 13, 2013. So we have almost 1 year exactly.
Tyler, how many years you've been together? How many years you've been together?
This July it'll be 8 years. 8 years.
He's lucky he got that right.
Anyway, we met when we were 13 in music class, and that's kind of where it all started. So 8 years later, here we are. But future, definitely graduating college and getting married and starting a family relatively soon. Not too soon, but soon.
Caitlin, what's your answer to that? How many years? What is soon?
Let's see, I'm only 20, so I would like to be almost out of college, so a good 4.5 years. I want to be like 24, 25. I want to be married and, travel for a little bit, just me and him. I don't want to be tied down too fast. Try talking him. Yeah, right. I tried talking him into having 4, and he's like, and I'm like, please.
Another big thing that you guys just did was what?
Oh, we just bought a house, our first house. So we bought our house, we renovated it, and it's coming along good. So our first big purchase together, so it's pretty cool.
Little picture of it. It's like a Victorian with a wraparound porch in the front. It's got some beautiful stained glass windows and wood.
They did a lot of work, though.
They did a lot of work on it. Lots of work. It still has some to do,
Yes,
right?
unfortunately.
Right. So, what made you choose Brandon and Teresa?
Well, I chose Brandon and Teresa. Well, let me start at the beginning, actually, before I jump into that. At first, I wanted to show you guys, see how Dawn gave the book list, and I was going through them and looking at families, which is true, I did do that. But at first, I went online, and on Bethany Christian Services, you can go online and look at all the families that want to adopt in every single state. And I was on my computer for hours, looking at every couple, every state, and I came down to like a good 10, and I had written down on a piece of paper, and Brandon and Teresa were one of them. And I just really fell in love with them because they were everything that I wanted. I wanted a stay-at-home mom. I wanted people who had a very good education, who were very involved in their church. They had a dog, which is really cool. I didn't want that, but that's cool. Carly loves her dog, which is awesome. And so they were everything I wanted. Teresa was going to be a stay-at-home mom. They had a very good education. Brandon has a very good job. He supports their family, and they're everything that I wanted. And they kind of remind me and Tyler of parents that we want to be one day. So that was something that also intrigued us. But another thing is they have like this YouTube on their video, a YouTube video on their profile that we watched. And it showed them interacting with their friends and kids at church and telling their stories. And I was all pregnant at home, bawling, watching this video. And I felt for these people so much because they had this little 5-year-old on their video who prayed every single night for them to get a baby. And it was just, I fell in love with them. And I showed Tyler, and they were the first ones I showed Tyler. And I was like, what do you think about this? He's like, that's them. And I was like, no, you have to watch these ones too. He's like, I don't really care about the other ones. This is them. And you really know when it's them because it sticks in your head and you can't forget about them, and you always keep thinking about them. So, and I'm really happy with the family that we chose. It couldn't be better.
So, Tyler, if you could go back, would you make the same decision?
If I could go back, I don't regret the decision placing Carly for adoption. I only regret the time that happened. I wish me and Caitlin would have, I wish we would have waited, but I definitely don't regret. I think adoption has totally changed my whole life. My morals, my values, my career, where I want to go in life, what I want to do. It's just totally, molded my future, I feel like. And if it wasn't for adoption, I just don't think that I would be where I'm at today. I don't think that I would be up here talking, obviously. And I just, I wouldn't have found a passion inside of myself that drives me to do what I want to do. So, I mean, honestly, no, I would not change anything. But time that happened, yeah, obviously.
And so, Caitlin, do you get to see Carly? When did you last see her? And I'll ask you the next one next. Go on.
Okay. What was the first one?
Do you get to see Carly?
Yeah.
And when was the last time you saw her?
Well, we get to see Carly like once or twice a year. So every summer we have seen her. But this year they were here in like March, and I've seen her a good like 4 or 5 times, which was awesome. I was like, yeah, soak it all in. So yes, we see her a lot. They were here for a month? Yeah, like a really long time. So we got to spend a lot of time together, and Carly was just falling in love with us. And now, like, she went home, and it was her show and tell day at school. And Teresa walks in her room, and she's like, Carly, what do you want to show at your kids for show and tell? And she's like, Mom, I know. And she's like, what? And she's like, that puppy that Tyler and Caitlin bought me. And I was like, that is so touching to me, because she knows who we are. And she's like, yeah, Caitlin and Tyler who buy me gifts all the time?
And Caitlin and Tyler recorded a storybook for her with their voices. Yeah. And that's her favorite book, and she always has that to listen to at nighttime. So she knows their voices very well.
Yes,
she does. Question, do you still wear the bracelet that Teresa gave you?
Yes, I do, but it is locked up in my jewelry box a lot of the time because I've lost it plenty of times.
She's really paranoid about it.
It's very scary. One time I was wearing it and I just waved my hand and it flew off and I couldn't find it. My friend found it. It's broken a couple times. So it's very sacred to me. I like to keep it away and I put it on once in a while, but I definitely still have it.
How has your relationship changed since the adoption plan?
Honestly, I like this question because me and Caitlin were so young. You think you know what love is, you think you're in love, whatever. Well, yeah. After adoption, actually, being in the delivery room with Caitlin, after seeing her deliver Carly, and then seeing her just find this immediate strength within her to go through with the adoption that we had planned, and that's really the moment that I totally fell in love. I just right at that moment I was looking at her, right after her eyes are pop of blood vessels, she was pushed for 20 minutes, and I just looked at her, I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really, really love her, and that's kind of when I really fell in love with her, is because I seen the strength that she had, and after adoption, we've just gotten so close. It's like, when you have a child with somebody and you go through the things that we went through in our life, and you grow up the way that we did, and then to see where we are now, it's just like, I don't even know how, I can't even explain it. It just makes you just create this bond that's like never be broken, and so that's definitely the way it's changed me. So
We need a collective awe.
Yeah, but that's rare with adoption. Really the birth dad isn't around at all, and he leaves afterwards. So it's definitely rare that Tyler is still here. Even with me, if I would have parented, most teen dads would be gone. And even with adoption, usually they don't stay around, so he's definitely an exception.
He's exceptional, right? Okay. Caitlin, has your mom accepted the adoption yet, and what is your relationship like with her now?
My mom is definitely more accepting of the adoption now. She understands why I did it. She knows that she's not probably going to see Carly until Carly is 18 years old or whenever. And she's definitely more supportive of it now. Our relationship is getting better every day. It still struggles a lot with her addiction and stuff, and it's very hard for me to be around her because of her addiction things. I'm trying to be there. She's trying to get sober. And our relationship's starting to get better. But now I'm starting to speak my piece. You say something mean to me, Mom, I'm saying something right back. And she don't like it. But that's how it has to be now that I don't live with her. But it's getting better. It's a work in progress. And hopefully she keeps trying to get sober. Hopefully our relationship will keep getting stronger.
Tyler, how about your relationship with your dad?
Actually, my dad, at first he was like, I don't want to see pictures, I don't want to hear about it, I don't want to talk about it. And really back then, my whole life, I'm like, I don't care what you think, I'm going to say what I want to say, regardless. He didn't like it too much, but it's okay. He's come a long way. He's actually got a tattoo of all his grandchildren. He included Carly in that tattoo. He has started to look at pictures now. He's opened up to me. He's cried to me about it. He's grown a lot. He hasn't grown as much as I really would like him to. He still kind of tells me that he doesn't agree with it. But he just accepts the fact that I picked a really good parent. That's kind of the only positive thing he says. But it's better than negative. So it's a step. But he's growing, and hopefully he'll get to the point where he accepts the decision.
This is from a birth mom that's in the audience, and that was a teen
Happy
mom.
birthday, Mother's Day,
Yeah.
wherever you are.
She was a teen mom, and so she understands how tough the situation could have been for you. And how did you know that adoption was the right choice for you?
Like I said before, I knew adoption was right for me because of the cycle in my family. I didn't realize it for a while, but how many teen moms were really in my family, and then I was one, and I didn't want Carly to be a teen mom. And just a lot of, I moved 14 times. Even Dawn was around me all this moving. 14 times until like the age of 15. So every year I was going in a different place, different everything all the time. And I just really wanted something stable for her. I wanted her to have just a good upbringing where she could have a chance to go to college, a chance to graduate, a chance to be a child and not have to grow up so fast because her mom's an alcoholic or her dad's a drug addict or whatever the case may be. I just figured it would be better. And I prayed one night, honestly, and just asked for peace in my decision, and I got it, and I knew it was right then and there. I just knew that this was what I was supposed to do for Carly.
Well, another gal in the audience says you're both very mature beyond your years, and I think we would all agree with that statement.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where do you find the strength to be such a solid couple despite your rocky past with your families?
I think that's what makes us stronger is because we kind of lean on one another. When I'm down, you bring me up. When you're down, I bring you up. Don't you think?
Yeah, we both need each other for things. I think one of the big things is that we don't hide anything.
Right.
If she is
Communication.
making me mad, I'm like, dude, you're making me mad. Like, get away from me. Or, if I'm making her mad, she's like, you're annoying. Get away. So we're just completely open with each other. We don't hide anything. If we feel it, I'm going to say it.
Right.
And we're just really open with each other.
And we're good at communication. We don't really fight or anything. If we have a problem, we talk to each other, and 5 minutes later it's done. We're like, cool. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree, and that's what we do sometimes.
Even though we both get pretty much.
Yeah. I like to have a last word sometimes.
Why? I always win.
No, we don't.
So last question, what would be your best advice to somebody maybe right now who finds themselves in an unplanned pregnancy and is looking at the options that are available to them?
Well, I would say definitely look at all your options. For me, adoption was right for me. Why? I pretty much told you a whole hour why, but I'll say it again. But why was it right for me? I didn't have anything for her. I didn't have a college education. I didn't have a high school diploma. You really got to weigh your options and write down your pros and cons and realize what you want for your child. And can you do that right now? And if you can't, then you need to make a different option. Mine was adoption. And
I also just want to say that I think that if you really look at it long term, if the child is long term, this is it's forever for the rest of your life. And I think that you need to just really decide what you think your child deserves, what you want for your child, and just make sure that they have the best that you can provide, even if it is parenting or if it is adoption,
Right.
whatever decision you choose, just make sure that you put that kid first and put yourself second, and just make sure that they have what they deserve.
Right. I was going to say, because I run into it a lot, not even teen moms, but even I've had like 20-year-olds and stuff talk to me that are like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant and I don't think I can do it. And I say, don't ever tell yourself something, don't ever tell yourself you can't do it unless you try it. Because I could have sat there and said, I can't do it, but I tried. It's too hard, I can't do it, but I tried. And when it comes to your child and you're a mother, you need to do things for your child no matter what. It's not about you anymore, it's about that child. And you have to suck it up and do what's right for your child and no longer what's best for yourself. Yay!
While you're in the midst of your adoption planning, you certainly can change it, and adoptive families agree to those kinds of things, and we show birth moms families that match up with what their openness is. And I think one of the most important things about adoption is that you understand it's a permanent final decision. It's a legal decision that is made, and it happens in a court of law. And forever, that is a decision that's made for that child and for you as well. But yeah, Catelynn really changed a lot in her plans, and Tyler did as well, in their plans for openness. And it actually was a beautiful thing because I kept trying to nudge her into a little more openness than she wanted, and now it's been a great thing.
Okay, thank you guys so much. I want to thank you all for coming.
Applause for setting this up and inviting us here to talk to you guys.
Like I said, we have counselors here. We're going to be hanging around. I'm a counselor too. And two more things. One, you guys got sheets of paper. One is an info sheet and one's a feedback sheet. So if you could give your feedback sheet to anybody with one of these on, that'd be great. And if you want to stay and have a picture, we're going to do pictures in sections. You can stay in your seats. But other than that, we're done for the night. Thank you so much.